TLD service, top-level domain service. You know what top-level domains are, even if you've never heard them, called that. They are the endings of domain names, the .com at the end of a company name, the .org at the end of a non-profit, the .net that's been around since the beginning, the country-specific ones, .uk for the United Kingdom, .de for Germany, .jp for Japan, the newer generic ones that have proliferated over the last decade, .io, .ai, .app, .health, .photography. Each of those TLDs has its own set of authoritative service, managed by a specific organization. The .com TLD is managed by a company called VeriSign. They are responsible for keeping track of every domain name that ends in .com, and there are hundreds of millions of them. Now, here's what the TLD server actually does. When your recursive resolver reaches the .com TLD server and asks about google.com, the TLD server doesn't just hand over Google's IP address. It does something more specific and more important. It tells the resolver, here are the name servers that are authoritative for google.com. Go ask them. The TLD server is like a directory of directories that holds delegation records, NS records, which we'll explain shortly, pointing to these specific servers that each domain owner has designated as authoritative for their domain. Google registered google.com through a domain registrar. Part of that registration process involved telling VeriSign, our authoritative name servers are these. And VeriSign stored that information. Now, when anyone asks about google.com, the .com TLD server can say, not my department, but here's exactly who you should talk to. This delegation model is what makes DNS both scalable and flexible. Google manages its own DNS infrastructure. A small personal website manages its own. Each domain owner is responsible for their own corner of the namespace, and the TLD servers simply know how to point to whoever that is. Now the resolver reaches what it's been looking for all along, the authoritative name server. This is a server that has a real definitive answer. When the resolver asks an authoritative name server for the IP address of google.com, that server doesn't say go ask someone else. It says here's the answer, here's the IP address. This is where google.com lives. And this is where we need to talk about DNS records. Because an authoritative name server doesn't just store IP addresses, it stores a collection of records, each one answering a different kind of question about the domain. The most fundamental record type is the A record. The A stands for address. An A record maps a domain name to an IPv4 address. The older 32-bit format for IP addresses that the kind that looks like 142.250.74.46. When your browser needs to connect to a website, and the record is usually what it's ultimately looking for. But IPv4 addresses are running out. The internet long ago exhausted the supply of available IPv4 addresses. There are only about 4 billion possible combinations, and the connected world has surpassed that. So there's a newer address format called IPv6, which uses 128-bit addresses and can support a staggering number of unique addresses, enough, in theory, for trillions of devices. The record that maps the domain name to an IPv6 address is an 4 times A record. 4 as for the longer address. When a domain is configured with both A and 4 times A records, a modern device would typically prefer IPv6 if both the device and the network support it. Then there's the CNAME record, the canonical name record. The CNAME doesn't point to an IP address at all. Instead, it points to another domain name. This sounds circular, but it's actually very useful. Imagine a company that runs its website at www.example.com. They might configure a CNAME so that www.example.com is actually an alias for example.com. The canonical version of the name, or a company might use a third-party service for part of their infrastructure and configure a CNAME pointing to that service domain. When the resolver follows the CNAME, it then has to resolve the canonical name the CNAME points to, which might involve additional lookups. The MX record handles email. MX stands for mail exchanger. When someone sends an email to an address at your domain, the email system needs to know which server to deliver that email to. An MX record points to the mail server for the domain, along with the priority number in case there are multiple mail servers. So the sending system knows which to try first. TXT records are remarkably flexible catch-all. They store arbitrary text associated with the domain. Today they are used for an enormous range of purposes, proving domain ownership to third-party services, configuring email notification systems like SPF, DKIM that help fight spam, setting security policies for browsers and other clients. A TXT record is essentially a public message board attached to the domain, readable by anyone who asks. Next, there are NS records. We will continue with that later.